A career high for beef stew. Pistons beat the Bulls last night. No Cade Cunningham, no problem. Just keep winning games. First place in the East. Good morning, 97.1. Jim Costa, Jon Jansen, Heather Park, Gov and Greg behind the glass. Happy Thursday. We've got the 2 Grand Slam coming up at 7:25. Chance to win $2,000 in the new year. Also, our first Dear John of the new year at 7:35. John, you want a little teaser, by the way?
Yes, please.
Got all these pieces of paper in front of me. Here's your teaser. Regretful wedding.
Oh.
Birthday present.
Okay.
Wine not.
Oh, why not?
And $5,000.
Ooh. That kind of leaves the door open for a lot of things.
A lot of things. All right, that's at 7:35. Today, Brad Holmes is going to speak with the media. 4 o'clock, Lions general manager will do his postseason press conference. John, there's a lot of discussion about where this year went wrong and whether or not the window's closed. Is this a bump in the road or is the window closed?
My opinion is this is a bump in the road. And the question is, like, all of the factors involved. Obviously, salary cap. That's going to be a big part of this. Injury complications. What's going on with Terrion Arnold? Will he be able to, come back and play? Same thing with Ennis Rakestraw. Nobody really thinks much of Ennis Rakestraw, but if he can come back, that's a cheap corner.
But both safeties are dealing with
both
injuries.
safeties dealing with major injuries. And so that's a big question. Age. Obviously, Taylor Decker, the number one question is he going to come back? Is he going to retire? And when he's going to make that decision? And then empty draft picks. Like, there's just been too many in the last 2 drafts.
Yes.
And I'm not going to sit there and say they were awful drafts. They didn't get anything out of them. I'm still hopeful Terrion Arnold will develop into a number 2 corner. And then you look at like Tyleik Williams. I think there's some hope that he can be a stalwart. I don't think he'll ever develop into Aleem McNeil at his best. But again, injury issues. Aleem McNeil.
Yeah.
We saw one game and then there was nothing.
Yeah.
So there's just a lot of questions there. And I think they're in a position right now early on in all of the contracts that they've handed out to drafted guys that have been, key cogs for this team, that they're able to restructure those guys and either guarantee more money or add years on the end, kick things down the road a little bit, because whether it's Penei Sewell, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jared Goff, all of these guys that have gotten contracts other than Kirby Joseph, like, you really believe that they're either entering the prime of their career or firmly in the middle of the prime of their career, so that if you add a couple of years or you guarantee more money to lessen the cap number this year, they're still going to be productive in the years to come.
Yeah, I would first just want to point out, windows exist. Like, this is something Brad Holmes fought. I'd really love to answer this question after hearing him speak today, because this is really on him for what he's going to do to address the many failings of this football team. I don't believe the window's closed with appropriate action. They still have a top 10 quarterback. They have studs at key positions: tackle, edge, middle linebacker, running back, wide receiver. So they still have the nucleus of a contender. What they're going to need to do is seriously invest in the trenches. They only have $13 million in cap space. This is why windows are real, because you start locking guys up and you have these boulders you have to move in the offseason to generate cap space. They will restructure Jared Goff's deal. They may restructure Amon-Ra St. Brown's deal. They may cut Graham Glasgow. Decker may retire. They can free up money and still attack this aggressively and be right back in it next year. They're going to play the Jets, Giants, Cardinals, Titans, teams picking in the top 5. They're going to play the Saints, the Falcons, that lousy NFC South division. It's set up for them to bounce back next year so that this is a bump in the road. But I got to know Brad Holmes is going to take this more seriously than I've got my guys and we just run it back with my guys. You're going to need to be aggressive in manipulating the cap and chasing a title next year, not worrying about winning your 2nd or 3rd Super Bowl before you win your 1st. The idea that sustainable success forever and ever is not reality in the National Football League, and they learned that harsh lesson this year. I need to see them apply the lessons learned this offseason.
Right, and in regards to windows, there are certainly windows. You can, windows close, but they don't have to be closed for long. Look at Les Snead, what they did with the Rams. And, hey, okay, a down year, but then you're right back in it. Look at Howie Roseman with the Eagles. Hey, maybe a year, and then all of a sudden you're right back in it. So even if the window quote unquote, were to be closed, and it's not this year, if it's 2 years down the road, 3 years down the road, whenever that is, it doesn't have to be an extended period of time. Your window's open longer than it should be closed.
If you're doing things right. And I look at the Rams, who you mentioned, and the Eagles, two teams that are much more aggressive than Brad Holmes. Mm-hmm. And those teams, you would think, would have to suffer the consequences for being aggressive. But in reality, John, there are very few blips. They are consistent contenders who play for and win Super Bowls. So it's not like the Lions are doing it better by playing the long game. Those teams are playing the short game, and they still have a runway. They've still maintained a level of success over year, over year, over year.
And how have they been more aggressive? It's not been in draft day trades. It's been aggressive in free agency. And famously for the Rams, it was F them picks. Mm-hmm. And they didn't have first-round pick for, 3 years? 4 years?
And somehow they only had one losing record in that time.
Right. And so, I want him to be more aggressive, not on draft day and wheeling and dealing third and fourth and fifth round picks. I want him to be more aggressive in free agency and in trades.
And I think we also need to have a conversation about what we're doing with these third and fourth round picks. Special teams aces and 2 and 3 year projects. Save that for the 6th and 7th round. Third round picks are supposed to be contributors on the field that season. Right?
Yes, so obviously Tesla was a much bigger contributor than Giovanni Manu.
Right, and Manu was a guy they took in the 4th, but I believe they gave up a 3rd to go get.
Right, Broderick Martin.
Another example, yes. Hendon Hooker.
Yes, those are all great examples of you got zero. Not even a backup guy that's going to be around 5-6 years. Maybe he has a breakout season and he goes somewhere else and gets paid minimally. You didn't get anything from Broderick Martin. You didn't get anything from Hendon Hooker. You're not getting anything to this point from Giovanni Manu.
Right. It needs to be a shift towards, Kirby Joseph was a 3rd round pick. Aleem McNeil was a 3rd round pick. This is a little earlier in his tenure, and these were guys they were counting on to play football games. That needs to be
St. Brown, 4th round pick.
Exactly. That needs to be a return to those kind of guys, not the project guys in the middle of the draft. 248-539-9797. We want to hear from you guys. Is the window closed, or is this a bump in the road? 248-539-9797. And again, Brad Holmes speaks today at 4 o'clock. We want to know what you want to hear from the man when he steps up to the podium.
Yeah, and you and I think are both on the same page. Bump in the road.
Yes.
It's windows not closed.
Should be.
But I also don't think that, where would you say they are in terms of the window? It's certainly not the beginning of it. The beginning of it opened, and it may have opened early in the NFC Championship game, but if you're talking about pure windows, you're only really your second year into it. So it should be open for another 2 to maybe 3 years.
Coming into this year, I felt like they had 2 with the option to extend. They threw one of those years away. Yep. They got one more, and then it becomes a lot harder. Aiden's deal kicks in, and they're going to have to get real creative. It's 97-1.